Wallace. Well, I come home for lunch every day, and pretty much I pulled into the driveway, got off the bike, and I could hear him in the back, so I knew he was here. I went, got the mail out of the mailbox, walked to the front door, and as I walked in the front door, I guess they were taking him and running out through the back alleyway here. She showed up. I had a cigarette on the front porch real quick with her, and then I left back for work, and she came out back to get him and bring him in the house, and everything was gone.
It was kind of the first time ever we sat on the front porch for his lunch break was when this happened. Most of the time, every other day, we're sitting back here, and then the one day that we decide, oh, we'll sit out front because there's shade, they straight out took him from the backyard. Every time he leaves and I come out back to get him some fresh water or let him in the house, there was no dog. There was no lead, nothing. He was completely gone. We looked at our surveillance video that we had actually set up when we moved in because we had an incident with one of the cars. And then we looked at that and saw that the 3 kids had come straight into our yard, took his entire lead, and then ran out with him. The next thing I did is I called YPD as soon as possible, and they got here about 3 hours later, but during that time I called them. I called our vet clinic to let them know that he was taken, to put his microchip, you know, on alert pretty much if anybody ever scanned him or anything. I called the 24-hour pet watch to put his microchip as well on alert. And I just started Facebook. I started putting pictures and notices, and just friends started sharing it like crazy. And within a couple days, we were walking around the neighborhood, and I even asked one of the mail ladies that worked a couple blocks over, and I told her about the situation. She's like, oh yeah, I saw that on Facebook. I have never met this woman before in my life. And she had heard about his story of he was taken out of our yard, and then I knew it was getting around, which was pretty awesome. Actually, I just had picked up my son from preschool, and we were going down the Humane Society to make sure that they kind of knew what was going on in case they saw him or anybody brought him in. So I walked around with my son to make sure that he wasn't there or got missed or something, and he wasn't there. They had all the information. They had our Facebook post and our story and all the information from the vet, and I walked into the house, and not 10 minutes later I got a phone call, and they said, you're not going to believe this, we have your dog.
I work for the Humane Society here in Yakima, Washington. Mr. Wallace, the dog in question, was stolen from some young kids. They caught it on video. It was posted on Facebook. It was turned into a case number as to Yakima City. I was dispatched to McKinley Elementary in Yakima, which one of the janitors had caught it and called us, and we retrieved the dog. And by the time we came back, the owners were here. It had a microchip, which is very important in order to take the dogs or return the dogs to the owners. Wallace was adopted for the shelter, which is the Humane Society. Once they're adopted, they become microchipped, which is, like I said, is very important because we'll be able to contact the owners and return the dogs to the rightful owners, which we did when we caught Wallace. In fact, that very day when I drove up, the owners were here filling the loss report at the Humane Society. When I pulled up, backed my truck in, the girls had asked what kind of dog I had, and I brought in the dog, and the dog was, then the girls told me the owners were just here, so we microchipped it, scanned it for the chip, and sure enough, it came up to the owners, which we then called them, and both the husband and wife and their cute little boy came and retrieved their dog. They were so ecstatic.
It was amazing. I think a lot of it was the fact of just through Facebook and networking and people just getting the story out. We had pet rescues, the Wags to Riches, and Res Pet Rescue. He also helped. He's an officer down in Wapato, and he just put it on with all his followers that follow through here and everything. So it was just a huge network of people that were willing to help. It was really awesome. Landon, our son, he's 4, and this is pretty much his buddy. He sleeps with him and everything. And so he was very upset because he actually watched the video of the kids taking Wallace because he couldn't understand why Wallace wasn't home. And so he was very upset with the kids because he was like, they need to go to jail because they need to get in trouble for taking our dog. For a couple nights, we drove around in the car looking for Wallace, you know, just whistling just to see if we could get a bark out of him or just see him. And even Landon was in the back seat just crying for Wallace to come home. So he was pretty upset, but he was pretty excited when Wallace came home.